This camp's been hunted pretty hard over the years. Myself, about 4 or 5 other people have hit it probably for 15 years, and still produces stuff. Not many big signals, but you can pull some musket balls out of here. A lot of buckshot and buttons. USA's come out. I dug a couple of USA's in here last year. I don't get up here that much anymore. But your best bet, and this is for any site that's been hit hard, a wood site, you know, military camp, you got to get into areas that a lot of the other guys didn't want to go into when the finds are plentiful. That means the briar thickets, the real thick stuff where it's hard to detect. A lot of times that'll produce your material. Yep. Camp lead again. You know what? Sticking camp lead is at least a good sign, because it shows that there's still some targets down in the good dirt here. Here it appears. Yep, it's a buckshot. You can see it right there. Right there. Alrighty. Oh well. Better than nothing. Alright, well, we dislodged it. Let's see what it is. Yeah, maybe it's just a buckshot. Nope. Nail. You know, this site up here, the ground's so bad up here, we gotta hunt it with a PI machine. A lot of VLF and other machines have been here over the years, and they've always had problems. The PI machines work very well, but you know, you're giving up a lot in your discrimination capabilities. It's not that they don't discriminate at all, they do, but they get fooled an awful lot. But you know what? That's the way it goes. And you really want to clean out a lot of the iron anyway to get to the other better relics that are in here, in the fire pits and stuff like that. That's the only way you find them, is by digging the iron. Alright, we're going to move up this slope. You can see the top of the mountain in the background up there. There's all camp all through here. Camp ends right there though. There's a big pile of dirt. That's old berm for a 19th century farm. Once you go past that, there's no Revolutionary War relics. We've hunted pretty hard on that side and just nothing. But from here on over, about 200-300 yards down that way, it's all camp. Alright, let's see if we can find something. Oh, there we go. Part of a pewter spoon bowl. Yep. Got a signal up, right up in here. Pretty faint, kind of broken up, but you know, New Year's Day, right around this big rock here, I dug 6 buttons just about 3 weeks ago. Right around that. So I think there may be a fire pit in front of that rock. I'm gonna have to check it out at some point. But all up here, they just dump buttons. No musket balls, but just buttons up here. So let's take a look at this signal and see if we might have another one. Ow, these briars are killing me, man. Okay, it's in here. Oh, there you go. What did I say about no musket balls, right? Proven wrong. Alright, 69 caliber. Pretty typical ammunition type found in here. Alright, let's beat this spot. There's obviously still some stuff left in here. Alright, we'll carry on. Just dug this signal under this root, chasing this, and there it is. Got the pewter button. I haven't turned it over yet. It's probably going to be a civilian style. You can see the big mold mark on the back there. Let's flip it and see. Yep, it's one of these X buttons which show up in this camp like all the time. No, actually this isn't even an X, this is more like a flower. No, it might be. Oh, hold on. Yeah, it's got the little X on it. It's weird, these buttons are everywhere in this camp. There's a little X in a circle, kind of geometric design. It's not a numeral X, not 10. It's just a button style that maybe they had a mold up in this camp and they were casting these buttons for whoever needed them, but they are all over this camp, all parts of it. So it's not just one or two huts. I mean, they're everywhere. Alrighty, dug this hole just above from the big rock, and got a real broken up crazy signal under a ton of rocks, and let's see, there it is now out of the hole. It's a big old 75 caliber musket ball, either used for captured British short land pattern muskets, or the early long land patterns, or the Committee of Safety muskets. American troops would have carried this round too. Obviously not in the numbers that the English would have carried, but they do show up in this camp, and in a lot of the 1777 camps that we dig too show up. But man, that signal sounded bad. Even with the PI, it was just buried under all this rock and garbage. Alright, I have a signal kind of wedged in under this rock here. Again, we're near the big rock that I pointed at earlier. What do we got here? A little discoloration on that rock. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't charcoal. This charcoal indicates possibly fire pit. That was just some root. Let's see if it's still in there. It would help if I took this away. Okay, and down there, here, there you go, right there. See that button? Right there is a button. Oh, looks like it's British. big round Bosch on the back. Usually that's going to be a British regimental, and I really don't want to mess with it too much out here, but the face looks like it may be able to pull a number off that face. A lot of the American troops, you know, this winter they were issued the French lottery coats, so most of these troops would have had them, but they probably would have carried some old uniforms in here, and they were issued captured British uniforms that had been captured at sea by American privateers. They re-dyed them, but they left the buttons on them, so British buttons in American camps, not that unusual to find, but that definitely looks English right there. That's good. It's a nice find. We'll clean it up and we'll see what it is a little bit later on. Alright, this battery's almost dead, so this may be the last find that I'm going to picture for today. I'm going to be heading home soon anyhow. So, again, this is the kind of stuff that you're hunting to find these relics now. You got to get in this thick stuff, these nasty locusts, all this stuff nobody wanted to mess with. But that's about the only place you're still going to find anything on a site like this. Again, it's been hit hard for a long time, but there's still relics in here. A lot of stuff buried in pits, but the pits are very difficult to find. Hopefully maybe later on, if I can locate one, I'll do a video of that. Alright, thanks for sticking around. We're going to do a wrap up now, going over some of the materials that we got after 2 days of hunting up at this site. Unfortunately, a lot of the material on day one I didn't get video of. That was because of operator error. I forgot to turn the camera on. But we'll move through this pile of stuff, dwell on a couple things, and then we'll just do basic overviews of the rest of the stuff. First artifact is an iron reinforcing collar. This went on the neck end of a wooden shaft, possibly for a polearm or some other kind of tool. Dug quite a few of these in the camp. They're just little wrought iron bands. You can see right there's a seam on that. We have some 18th century nails. A great example of a rosehead nail. That's a beauty. I believe that these may have been burnt or somehow otherwise altered before they went in the ground, because I've dug a few of these over the years where they come out and they have almost no corrosion on them. I mean, this one looks just about as good as the day it was made. Nicely clenched over on one side. Just a beautiful example. I usually don't get too excited over nails, but man, that's a real sweet example. Lead pencil. These were made by the soldiers. They would pound out and reshape musket balls. You see tapered on one end, blunted on the other. Can't imagine that these wrote very well, but I guess they were better than nothing. Piece of bar lead, some buckshot. See the sprue on that buckshot. Here's a 69 caliber round ball. This one's actually pretty cool because it looks like a soldier took a ball puller and tried to drill through both ends, possibly to make a fishing sinker. You know, it's a neat piece of soldier handiwork. He didn't get through though, didn't seem to finish the piece, but still pretty cool. Part of a broken shoe buckle. We got some plain pewter buttons, well, mostly plain pewter buttons here. You can see pewter on this site doesn't come out of the ground too well. These white metal buttons really take a beating in this ground, particularly the USA's and the French lottery coats. I mean, it's pretty rare to get one that's in real good shape. Here's a partial button. This one has a vine and berry design, which is a real popular motif in the 18th century. Now these two buttons are great. I really got a kick out of digging these. Anyone tells you that a two-piece brass button is 19th century or later, that's not always the case. These two here are two-piece, soldered front to back. Okay, they're all brass construction. They have star designs on them. One's a 5-pointed star, 5-rayed star, one's a 6-rayed star. This one has some foliate decoration around the edges there, and this one up here, I don't know if you can see it, but it has a chain border. I believe these are French, and They're similar in construction to the 2-hole gas expansion vent buttons that you see in French Indian War period and later. These obviously don't have the holes on the back, but we have dug them in this camp before. I've dug a couple in fire pits themselves, so I know that they're 18th century Revolutionary War period. And it's not uncommon on other sites to dig either the front or the back. And if you dig the back, a lot of times you're not even going to know what you have, because it really looks just like a flat button. But they do have this thin shell, front shell soldered onto the back. Some melted camp lead, that's all over the place. Here's some artifacts from the second day. A lot of these are on the video. We have some more iron pieces, some nails, some unidentified stuff. Yeah, I got to figure out what some of these pieces are and whether they're from the period. Here's some musket balls. We got a 75 caliber, 69 caliber. Put them together so you can see the size difference there. This 69 has a very, very nice, well-defined mold seam and sprue cut mark right on there. The 75 caliber, it's very hard to see, but it does have a faint mold seam on it, so that's going to be American manufactured ammunition. The English 75 caliber balls that I've recovered out of British sites are almost always made in a shot tower. Now, a shot tower uses a sieve through which they run molten lead into a pool of water below, and that casts the bullets. So you won't see a mold mark on those because obviously they weren't cast in a mold. The Americans, however, didn't utilize shot towers for the ammunition manufactured this time, so theirs will always be cast in a mold. Here's a fired rifle ball. This could be of the period. I'm thinking more likely that it's a little bit later. Firing in camp was explicitly forbidden by regulations, and any soldier that discharged his weapon in or immediately around the camp would be severely disciplined. So finding fired ammunition that you can definitely tie to the military occupation of this camp is going to be pretty rare, because any soldier who hadn't any brains whatsoever wouldn't fire his weapon anywhere near the camp. Here we have a piece of shoe buckle again. This actually is probably part of the same shoe buckle as that small fragment I found on the first day's hunt. Pewter spoon bowl, handle to a pewter spoon. Here's a couple more buttons. Plain face brass button. These, we found a ton of these over the years in this camp. Real common. You find them on any colonial or post-colonial site. Here's that X button I was telling you about on the video. You can see a little bit better. It's actually not an X in a circle. I really misdescribed that earlier. There is an X, and in each angle of the X is a little foliate design, which kind of makes it look like a circle, but it's really not. But these buttons, we find them all over this camp. Again, like I said in the video, they must have had a mold up here and were casting them for whoever needed them, because there's just way too many of these all over the place for it just to be coincidental. Unless the same guy really was dropping buttons all over camp, which I guess theoretically is possible, but unlikely. And finally, here's that British regimental button that now it's cleaned off. You can see the big lead boss on the back. That would have had an iron loop shank in it. When these are dug, the iron loop shank's almost always gone on these. And when I dug it, I had hoped that we could get a numeral off the face to find out what regiment it was from. And let's take a look. There we go. We got it. Let me see if I can get this in. Real good. There we go. 23rd Regiment of Foot, Royal Welsh Fusiliers, a great regiment with a distinguished war record here in the American colonies. They fought in pretty much every major engagement that the British Army was in the Mid-Atlantic, from Lexington and Concord, Bunker Hill, Long Island, Brandywine, Monmouth Courthouse, and they finally surrendered at Yorktown in 1781. Just a really neat button. I'm very happy with this piece, even though there's some edge loss and the face is a little rough. Pewter regimental, particularly British regimental, coming out of this site, out of that bad ground. Wow, this one's actually in exceptional condition for this site. Very, very nice find from a great regiment. Well, that's it. You can see again, this is 2 days of hunting now. 10 years ago would have been a different story. We would have had a pile more stuff. But as you know, if you hunt, the finds become fewer and farther between. That's just the way it is. Anyway, thank you very much for sticking around for the overview. I hope to have some more videos for you guys on different subjects again in the future, maybe more footage from this camp again. And good hunting.